Jeep and Eagle dealer.
Trapped in an alien prison, the best of friends are about to become the worst of enemies. Star Trek Voyager.
Sunday night at 10 on Fox 49.
Fox, the exclusive home of the 1996 World Series.
Good evening, I'm John Walsh. This is the final episode of America's Most Wanted. In the beginning, a lot of people said it wouldn't work. Well, our staff has put together some of their favorite memories of the last 9 years. When you watch it, I think you'll agree our impossible mission has been accomplished.
Thank God, Jesse.
That's him! Tipsters who call because of the excitement.
Like things you would see on the movies.
They always used to watch him in prison.
Your tip found him last week.
What can you say about a television show that has become an institution? About a victim who became a survivor? About all of the criminals we've taken off the streets in our 9-year run? 431 fugitives taken off the streets.
It's a damn good show. I mean, it caught me.
20 children brought home safely. And thousands of victims whose lives were changed forever because of a show that tried to prove that one person can make a difference. Over 9 years, our viewers have watched, they've called, and they've cared. They've cared about all the victims, especially those most vulnerable, the children.
Welcome to the premiere of America's Most Wanted.
This was the first show of its kind, and although there have been many imitators, none have achieved the success of America's Most Wanted. But to truly comprehend just how unique this show really is, you must first understand its origins.
John and Reve Walsh of Hollywood, Florida, came to the cause of all exploited children because of their own family tragedy. And their courage has rallied thousands of others to this noble effort.
The killer of their son Adam was never found, but their never-ending fight for justice gave life to national centers for missing children. It gave comfort to crime victims across the nation, and in 1988, it spawned something new. A partnership between law enforcement, the public, and the media. No one thought it would work, but it did. During that very first broadcast, viewer tips poured into the America's Most Wanted hotline, and David James Roberts, the killer of 4, including 2 children, became capture number 1. Since then, the AMW operators have been busy, fielding over 200,000 calls a year.
But with this new thing that your boy John got going, man, he forced my retirement.
John says, look, I was victimized once. My heart has been broken, and I believe you take a stand and fight back, not as a vigilante, but through the system. You figure out a way to do it with some dignity and some integrity, and you fight back.
We've taken that fight to the children on the streets, to the airwaves, and all the way to the halls of Congress, in the name of crime victims everywhere.
Joining us is John Walsh. John, as you know, is the host of America's Most Wanted. It is the #1 crime-busting show on television.
I have testified in every state legislature in this country. I have sat through hundreds and hundreds of trials to educate myself. I have spent many, many painful hours at sentencing hearings seeing just what the criminal justice system is about. And believe me, in those 15 years, I've learned one thing. It should be renamed the criminal injustice system, because the defendants and the criminals have all the rights and the victims have no rights.
John Walsh, the father, instead of letting his anger and his indignation just absolutely destroy somebody, and it could, he became one of the America's most charismatic and effective champions for missing children and crime victims.
I want to thank you again.
Oh, you don't have to thank me.
Yes, I do.
You don't have to thank me.
Yes,
Come on, we're in this battle together.
Well,
we're in this battle
but you have you have a big voice, and a lot of us don't. So I'm glad you're there.
There were 43 million Americans victims of crime last year. 40 million Americans the year before. Pretty soon, almost every American will be a victim of crime.
The law that bears the name of one child is now for every child.
for every parent and every family. It is for Polly and Jacob and Adam, and above all, for Megan. I thank the Congress for passing it. I thank those who led the fight. And I thank these families more than anything else.
John, I think the work you've done is one of those things you can't measure in dollars and cents. Sometimes it isn't the bottom line in dollars, it's the bottom line what you do for humanity.
John, do you have closure sometimes with Adam in the lives of the other people that you've been able to close for?
Absolutely, absolutely. I live vicariously through that closure, but it's the best part of the job. All the publicity we get is about the capture, about the criminal. All the focus is on the criminal. The closure for the victim is the best part of the job.
But if America's Most Wanted is to be remembered for one thing, we hope it will be this, that the show brought missing children home.
Through America's Most Wanted, we found the child, and we've also had a finality for an arrest. And so we're here celebrating new life.
Thank you, John Walsh. Yes, we got her back.
We are celebrating the fact that these children are home today. And they're home for a lot of reasons. It's really a combination of the private sector, some of the corporations that are here, law enforcement, their hard work, the parents' dedication, never giving up looking for their children, and the power of the media, using the media for some good and getting children back home.
And most importantly, the people who called our hotline. There have been a few that we've gotten to meet, to shake their hands and say thanks. They made it all possible. 20 missing children recovered, 12 in the last 18 months alone, as well as 431 captures. As those numbers grew, the nation watched in wonder.
There is certainly no justice and no relief from the pain of your own loss. But to families who have turned tragedy into a crusade for others, I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. There can be no greater honor that you do your loved ones.
And so this is not an ending. It is a celebration. A celebration of the hope and the tears and the victories that our viewers have made possible for these 9 years. A celebration of the mission to protect our children and raise them in a safer society. A mission to ensure justice for all.
And grace will lead me home.
Wow, what a ride. Looking back over the years, it's incredibly satisfying to see the closure we've been able to provide to crime victims and their families. But tonight, we're not just looking back, we're looking forward too. We'll try to give you some answers on how to prevent troubled teens from becoming America's Most Wanted. And we'll examine the one case I want to solve more than anything in the world, the murder of my son, Adam. So please, spend one more hour with us and prove once again what I believed all along, that one person, you, can really make a difference.
Coming up next, the horrible acts of this child molester were caught on tape. But police had no idea who he was until they turned to you.
America's Most Wanted did in 2 hours what we couldn't do in 3 years, and that's put a name to his face.
And coming up later, the final case for America's Most Wanted is the most personal one of all.
I don't know who would do this to a 6-year-old child.
In 1982, Adam Walsh disappeared from this department store. For the first time ever, hear from an eyewitness to the crime.
He walked over to the curb, he got down like a catcher would, and he got eye to eye with Adam.
America's Most Wanted is brought to you by Nicotrol. 6 weeks, 1 step. Take control with Nicotrol.
I have now been off the Nicotrol patch for exactly 1 month. Using the Nicotrol patch, there was only the 1 dosage, and that made it very simple to use. You didn't have to worry about different phases and different steps that you had to go through.
New Nicotrol, a whole new and simple way to help you quit. Only Nicotrol has a 6-week program, not 10 weeks like the other patch or 12 weeks like the gum.
I didn't stop, I've quit. And to stop is momentarily. To quit is for good, and that's what I've done.
6 weeks, 1 step. Take control with Nicotrol.
The Pontiac Firebird waits. 305 horsepower comes to life. Ram air induction turns air into fuel in a rush. Firebird, you're ready to fly.
You know, heartburn medicines have been around for years. First came Tagamet, then Zantac, then Pepsid. But the newest, Axid, now a non-prescription strength as New Axid AR. The only one that says right on its labeling, for many, it can prevent heartburn completely. That's something 2 Tagamet HB, Zantac 75, and Pepsid AC just don't claim. New Axid AR. Proven it can prevent heartburn completely.
The madness is back.
Stop right there, you punks.
Liz.
Who's bad?
Catch the season premiere of Mad TV late night tonight.
A blockbuster doubleheader is coming your way on Fox NFL Sunday. It all gets started with the inside info from America's favorite pregame team. Then the 49ers take on the Panthers, plus the Cowboys battle the Bills. It's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. It all begins noon Eastern, 9 Pacific.
For me, the best part of this show has always been the chance to protect children. On February 14, 1988, we reported our first capture, David James Roberts. He murdered 5 people, including 2 children. Well, now on September 21st, 1996, we've put another person behind bars who's accused of hurting children. You made him capture number 431, our final capture. We had little to go on, just a face and some tattoos of a man captured on videotape. But we hoped you could help. The FBI asked us to show you this carefully edited video of a man in a room with 2 young children. The videotape was found in a New Mexico hotel room, turned over to investigators. Agents determined from background audio that the actual crime took place somewhere in Sacramento, California in late 1992.
Only from Channel 31.
In August, we aired a short segment on this man, showing his face, keeping our fingers crossed. Incredibly, just 2 hours after our broadcast, a caller told our hotline he recognized the man and knew exactly who he was.
We had a viewer call in regarding the unidentified child molester that was profiled. He knew the person to be David Matthew Fitzpatrick, and the best he knew, Fitzpatrick was then in Jamaica.
From there, information began to pour in. The next day, agents learned that Fitzpatrick had worked as a stand-up comic, and they obtained this videotape of him performing his raunchy act at a California nightclub. His stage name was David Bulldog Kelly.
Hey, I'm from England. I'm a little bit different guy, so I don't offend anybody by something on stage because the partner still she's going to be offended.
But agents knew this was no laughing matter. Quickly, the FBI ran his name and learned that the British-born David Matthew Fitzpatrick had been living in Sacramento, California for several years. The big question was, where was he now?
The best information we had was that he moved to Jamaica. Where in Jamaica, we didn't know. We didn't know what city. We didn't have a phone number for him. We didn't have an occupation. We didn't have anything, just a country, Jamaica.
But 2 days after the broadcast, agents learned Fitzpatrick had left Jamaica about 3 months earlier and moved to Cancun, Mexico. There, he got a job selling condo timeshares.
He did most of the things that we asked him to do. He was let go money because he wasn't producing.
Wasn't producing is an understatement. In his 2 months in Cancun, Fitzpatrick sold only 1 timeshare. So Fitzpatrick packed his bags, left Cancun, and moved to the west coast of Mexico, to Puerto Vallarta. Just 3 weeks ago, got a job here once again, selling timeshares. And on September 10th, it was time to move in on Fitzpatrick.
The man was very calm at the moment he was told he was under arrest. He said that he was unaware of the charges. We told him that he was being charged with sexual abuse of children.
This video of Fitzpatrick was taken moments after the arrest. Officers knew once they saw his tattoos, they had the right man.
The tattoos are key in this case because that's basically the only way we have to identify him.
Agents say without a doubt, the tattoos match those captured on the FBI video. The arrest shocked Fitzpatrick's co-workers back in Cancun.
It blows my mind, but it just goes to show you never know. Here's a guy that I hire walking in, and my kid comes up to him, and then he's picked up by the Interpol. And
while in police custody, Fitzpatrick had little to say.
I don't wish to say anything until I see a lawyer.
But that changed when this woman showed up. She said she met Fitzpatrick in Jamaica in 1992 and has been with him ever since. She had no idea he was a wanted man. When she saw Fitzpatrick, emotions ran high.
What happened? I don't know.
Fitzpatrick spoke to her through a window.
Come here, come here. Listen to me and listen carefully. Come here. Listen. There's nothing we can do.
Back in Sacramento, the FBI agent, who has spent a lot of time tracking this accused child molester, was delighted at the news of Fitzpatrick's arrest.
I was ecstatic. Finally, after over 3 years, we finally had him in custody. It was a long road. The hardest part was trying to find out who he was. But then after that, it became a matter of just waiting until he could be picked up. But when it finally happened, I was ready to do a cartwheel. America's Most Wanted did in 2 hours what we couldn't do in 3 years, and that's put a name to his face.
David Fitzpatrick is in a Mexico City jail awaiting extradition. He faces 14 counts of child molestation in California and 1 federal count of manufacturing child pornography. If he's convicted on all those counts, he'll never see the outside of a prison again. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Coming up next, she lost a son to violence. Now she's fighting to make the streets safe for other children.
They need a chance in life. And it's so senseless the way they're just killing each other out there.
If more top mechanics use one motor oil over any other brand in their own cars and trucks, maybe it's time you changed your oil. Valvoline, the #1 choice of America's top mechanics.
They really lowered the prices. Most restaurants, they go up. This place, they go down.
You can't get him out unless they're low prices.
Under $10.
Red Lobster introduces new low prices. Now 15 luscious dinners under $10.
You get shrimp, crab, salmon.
Try our succulent shrimp combo. Savory scampi and beer-battered shrimp.
I like shrimp. I'm a shrimp eater.
With salad and Cheddar Bay biscuits, all this just $7.99. New low prices at Red Lobster now.
Then we can even afford dessert. So what a wonderful place.
How do you get clean and fresh?
Jergens body shampoo. I get so much lather.
You really, really can feel the clean. And it rinses clean without soap film. This freshness is fabulous.
Jergens body shampoo in original, deodorant, and moisturizing formulas.
You can feel it start to burn all through here. All you can think about is getting rid of it quickly. I even tried Tagamet HB, but it didn't work fast enough. Finally, I asked my doctor, and my doctor said Mylanta. Fast-acting Mylanta was made to work fast where heartburn hurts most. Soothing, on contact, all through here. It's so fast. It's nothing like Tagamet HB. My doctor said Mylanta.
He's a man of mystery.
Seems everything about you smoke and mirrors, Jack. All I can tell you is I ain't always been a cop.
Now, to protect himself and his family,
take the kids upstairs.
A man of peace has declared war.
I don't appreciate being threatened. I don't like it. Nobody threatens me.
Steven Seagal, Keenan Ivory Wayans, The Glimmer Man, rated R. Starts Friday, October 4th at a theater near you.
This season, Melrose Place is living up to its reputation.
I had no idea you were such a slut.
Catch a brand new Melrose Place, Monday at 8, 7 Central.
Tonight, we're looking for ways to keep kids from becoming America's Most Wanted. In some neighborhoods, even good kids have a hard time staying out of trouble or staying out of the way of a bullet. Salinas, California used to be one of those places. In 1995, that small farming community had 25 gang-related homicides. This year,
just one. That dramatic improvement has caught the attention of a lot of people, including the President of the United States.
Nothing we do in Washington to try to rescue the children of America will work unless it is given life in the commitment of people in every community in America. You are doing that in Salinas. That's what I want every community in America to do. I came here today to honor your efforts in fighting crime and rescuing our children.
One of the people being honored by the President was Angie Morphine.
My mission is to stop seeing the kids die in the streets. I want to help them. We're the ones that made the world the way it is, and they're the ones that have to live in it. They're the ones that suffer out in the street.
Angie knows full well the tragedy of losing a child to the violence of the streets. Angie's 13-year-old son, Ruben, wasn't in a street gang, but his best friend, Willie Navarro, was. As we showed you in our reenactment, Willie was walking Ruben home on December 29, 1990, when they were confronted by a gang. Willie told Ruben to run. Ruben was stopped by a bullet in the back of his head.
They took a small one. They took an innocent, we all took it bad, And we got heartbroken at the time, and still is. Some people still can't believe it.
Just days after our interview, Willie was also shot dead.
No one deserves to die. They need a chance in life. And it's so senseless the way they're just killing each other out there.
So Angie, a working mother of 2 other children, decided to do something about it. She takes her anti-gang message straight to the kids.
Hello, my name is Angie Morphine, and I also lost my son in a drive-by shooting.
One of the most effective tools Angie brings with her is our reenactment of her son's senseless murder.
They took a small one. They took an innocent.
Losing Ruben was one of the hardest things that I ever had to go through.
The impact of Ruben's murder is overwhelming to the children.
How old is he? 13. He had just turned 13, 28 days before that bullet.
I hope I can at least touch one kid so he can drop his guns if he does use them. And he doesn't hurt other mothers like I was hurt.
One of the teens Angie had a strong impact on was a friend of her son's, Tony Valdez. Her message might have helped save his life.
Angie's a real good person. I admire her. Now she's one of my idols. Not the hardcore gangbanger anymore. She's had me just realize when you gotta make the right decision, you gotta be strong about everything. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Angie Morphine's not the only mother in Salinas trying to help the children. Through her loss, Angie met Gloria Torres. His 15-year-old son was killed by a stray gang bullet. They formed a very determined 2-woman group called Mothers Taking Action.
We wanted to be with my son. We didn't want him to die alone.
They talked to all types of kids, even those at Juvenile Hall. One of those sessions had a surprise ending.
I went up to the boy that killed my son. I offered him some candy. And he just looked up at me. And the next thing I knew, he was standing up, and he put his arms around me. And he told me, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about your son. Now, he didn't say that he killed my son, but I knew.
A year later, that teenager, Eric Lucio, was found guilty of the murder of Gloria's son. Mothers Taking Action is part of a huge coalition working to rescue the children of Salinas. Through local anti-crime measures, Salinas has seen a 73% reduction in gang violence.
What I want to ask everyone in America is, if your community hasn't done what they've done in Salinas, what's your excuse? Get off the dime, go to work, and we'll help you. Every child counts in every community in America. We need more of this.
Well, I don't really know if I've made a difference, but I hope I have. And I hope that the kids stop dying. And I hope that the politicians know out there that we're here and that we were watching them.
Angie's fight for change isn't over, but her search for justice is. Her son's murderer was caught in Mexico, convicted by a Mexican judge. He was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I was always prepared. You know, little handguns, you know, that you could just use for a fast crime.
Coming up next.
Walking down the block, we robbed the wrong guy. Some guys turned around, stood against the wall, you know, just robbed the officer, you know.
You robbed a policeman?
Yes.
Definitely the wrong guy.
Yes. If it wasn't for a person to sit me down and speak to me, like I said, I'd have been out there dealing drugs, probably in jail, probably one of them on America's Most Wanted, you know.
Got any Tylenol, Jill?
When did you switch to Tylenol?
When my doctor told me some pain relievers could irritate my stomach.
Really? Pain relievers?
Yeah, my doctor said that aspirin and even ibuprofen can sometimes irritate your stomach.
Oh, no kidding.
Mm-hmm. But Tylenol doesn't, and it works great.
To avoid the chance of stomach irritation, Tylenol is the pain reliever recommended most by doctors.
How's your stomach?
Stuffed.
Oh.
Tylenol, the pain reliever hospitals use most.
If you think KFC just serves the Colonel's original recipe chicken, think again. There's plump, juicy, tender roast, our new roasted chicken served in pieces, and the Colonel's crispy strips freshly prepared all day. At KFC, our menu is getting so big, you might need a bigger table.
Everybody needs a little KFC.
Now fill your plate with 2 pieces of new tender roast or 3 Colonel's crispy strips, plus mashed potatoes, gravy, coleslaw, and a biscuit at a special September price, just $2.99.
His moves made him a legend. Now, this superstar is making his greatest move ever.
Let's disco.
Beginning next Saturday, Al's got Saturday Night Fever.
Play that funky music, white boy.
This fall after Cox, America's gonna boogie down with the Bundys.
Far out.
A new season of Married with Children begins next Saturday at 9, 8 Central, followed by the premiere of Love and Marriage, only on Fox.
I got the fever, baby.
This is a Fox News update. A doctor says millionaire John DuPont is psychotic. He allegedly shot and killed an Olympic wrestler. And a baseball card was auctioned off in New York City for over $500,000. This has been a Fox News update.
Are a bit bigger, your hopes a bit higher. No wonder we have to reinvent ourselves to keep up with you. Barnett, ideas for the way you live.
I love my cars, keeping everything inside running just right. But what about the outside? You got to keep it right, too. How? Easy. You know, the better get Maaco guys. They really know how to do it right.
Right now, Maaco value is better than ever. Get our great-looking Maaco Ambassador finish for one low price. Our best value, only $149. Call Maaco today.
You want it done right? Call Maaco. America's smart choice.
There's no age limit on becoming a criminal. Today, it seems like more and more kids are spending time in places like this. It's a particularly growing problem in big cities. So what do we do with these young and often violent lawbreakers? Well, some people say, lock them up and throw away the key. And others say, it's not too late to straighten them out. Our Lennon Ozizwe looks at both sides of this explosive issue.
Life's a struggle and then you die someday.
I see the hope every day.
Going on roofs, shooting guns, you know, just for fun.
But these youngsters are not our future. They're our present.
I was 16 years old, selling rocks on the road.
At 16, Julio Alicia was selling rocks, crack cocaine, on the roads of New York City. He was speeding down the wrong way of life, out of control.
Selling crack?
Crack and dope. That's all. Yes.
And he was smoking marijuana cigars known as blunts. He went out on the streets armed with guns he calls gats.
I was always prepared. You know, little handguns, you know, that you could just use for a fast crime.
Julio and his friends would prowl for victims they called herbs.
All right, we call it a herb, you know. You see somebody walking down the street, you want a couple of dollars, you can go get a blunt or whatever.
Last year, Julio picked the wrong herb, an undercover policeman.
Walking down the block, we robbed the wrong guy. Some guys turned around. Kid against the wall, you know. You just robbed the officer, you know.
You robbed a policeman?
Yes.
Definitely the wrong guy.
Yes.
With the robbery, Julio became one of the 260,000 juveniles who commit violent crimes every year. But getting arrested would prove to be one of the best things that could ever happen to him. It would change his young life forever, in part because of someone else who used to run the streets of New York City 30 years ago.
5 o'clock in the morning, where you going to be?
I moved into this block, or my mother moved into this block when I was 1 year old.
Her name is Marta Maxo Santiago from the South Bronx. And back in the day, she ran with a gang.
The gang that I ran around with was the Social 7. And the Social 7 was like the biggest and the baddest gang. And my role was to go and get bad with somebody who would then curse me out and be ready to hit me. And then the guys from the gangs would come to defend me.
30 years later, we brought her back to the old neighborhood.
A long time.
Long time.
Yeah, how are you?
All right.
It's amazing to see.
Yeah, it's amazing to see her. I haven't seen her in, about 30 years maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that?
And it's amazing
Because she's one of the ones that's still alive that came from this neighborhood.
Marta says of the 15 kids she ran around with, only 5 made it.
The rest are either dead or are in prison right now as we speak, or are dying of AIDS, or are still in the same old cycle of doing whatever it is that they're doing.
I guess we haven't told you what this surviving former fight-picking gang member is doing these days. Unbelievably, she's the commissioner of New York's Juvenile Justice Department. She's charged with making a difference in the lives of kids who were just like her, kids like Julio.
For all the things that I always talked about and became frustrated about what we do or don't do with our young people, I now have a unique opportunity to make some of these things happen. It's not about letting them off the hook. Yeah, they're responsible. But then what do we do once we find them responsible? And I guess that's my whole message, that we have to do more than that, more than just holding them guilty.
One program she says is doing just that is called Aftercare. You may think that sounds like a cute program for preschoolers, but then you'd be wrong. Kids are drafted into the program after getting involved in very adult criminal activity. Kids like 16-year-old Marilyn, who was busted for stealing jewelry on a subway.
And we got on another train and we robbed this other girl, and then we just kept on doing it and doing it.
And then there's 14-year-old Sean, who at age 13 was dealing drugs from a crack house.
It was mostly with the obsession for money. That's one. Can't lie.
You're only 13 years old. What do you need the money for? You don't have to pay rent?
Nah, I just like to buy things.
And remember Julio, who robbed the undercover cop. He says Aftercare saved his life.
I would have probably been down there, 6 feet deep.
So if you didn't come here after school, what's the alternative?
If it wasn't for a person to sit me down and speak to me, like I said, I'd have been out there dealing drugs, probably in jail, probably one of them on America's Most Wanted, you know?
I probably would have been out in the street hanging out, smoking weed, drinking a 40 or something.
Have you learned that what you did was wrong?
Yeah, I learned what I did was wrong.
When I come here, you know what I'm saying, it's like everybody in here shows me love.
Changed my life around. It got me into an art program.
So drawings and paintings can keep you off the street?
Oh, yeah, if you're really interested in that.
But there's always the possibility that a gat will replace the paintbrush in his hands. The 17-year-old faces temptations on the streets every day.
Are we smelling some blunt right now?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Smelling some weed?
Yeah.
And you don't get tempted by that?
Nah.
He knows who to call if he does get tempted, his aftercare counselor, even though now he's officially out of the program.
And I just need advice or something, I just call up. Agent Court will speak to me. hey, you ain't got to be doing this, you ain't got to be doing that. So they help me out in ways, you know, that I won't be helped out by other people.
75% of the youngsters that we have intervened with in the program called Aftercare have not returned to juvenile justice. That's quite a success.
So how many times do you have to get locked up before you learn your lesson?
Oh, well, I already learned my lesson, you know what I mean?
It's a lesson that Marta tries to teach 7,000 times a year. And she says she found encouragement in her old neighborhood. The young people she met on a stoop were asking for help with jobs and school.
Well, I think it's cool that at least you're trying to get back to school and set the right example. If I give you my card, will you use it? I don't mind confessing that I doubt sometimes, and can I really make these things happen? But as I look and experience tonight, and the way people have responded and what we've observed, I feel much more encouraged about the work that I have in front of me.
She doesn't have a crystal ball to say the kids on the stoop will make it.
I got to put a good grip on my boots so I won't slip, you know?
Or that Julio will.
How do you do that?
Just hold my ground. Just hold my ground, you know?
But then no one is more surprised that Marta made it than the commissioner herself.
If anyone had suggested to me when I was growing up, when I was hanging out, that I would have accomplished half the things I've accomplished in my life, I'd have laughed at them and told them that I'd be lucky if I'd be alive by then.
You better get yourself together while you're wasting all your time right along with your mind.
I'm 17 now, and now we're moving up. I stopped selling drugs, stopped hustling. In the future, I have a gift and I'm blessed. That's it.
Since these programs began, teenage crime has decreased. Let's hope that trend continues. When we come back, our final case, the unsolved murder that changed my life forever.
Next, we'll hear from the prime suspect in the murder of Adam Walsh.
That Adam Walsh case, I didn't do that case.
We'll show you the clues that got away.
We don't know where any of that stuff is. We're looking for it.
And in an exclusive interview, one of the last people to see Adam alive breaks a 15-year silence.
A day has not gone by that I don't think of Adam.
Between us, OB has everything but an applicator.
A woman gynecologist designed it so it doesn't need one.
I need one. Now OB gives you a choice. New OB applicator or applicator free. A woman gynecologist designed OB to expand all around, help you feel free from leakage. Between us, a woman knows what a woman needs. New OB with an applicator or without. OB, worry-free.
Being the life of the party doesn't have to take the life out of your makeup. Thanks to CoverGirl.
It's a long wear innovation. New continuous wear makeup.
Stays on, stays true. Whatever you do.
The leading ordinary makeup can wear away. New continuous wear color locks to set the look. So it stays on twice as long.
Whatever you do, or have done to you. So no matter what, you know you look your best.
New continuous wear makeup, fresh from CoverGirl.
Stays on, stays true. Whatever you do.
It's a taste of the uncommon, freshness at its peak. It's spicy, crunchy, totally unique. There's nothing ordinary about it. Taco Bell.
Forget the ordinary. Now at Taco Bell, choose from 8 delicious extreme value combos, starting at just $1.99.
Let's head for the border, people. See what's cooking there. There's nothing ordinary about it. Taco Bell.
Sometimes a winner is a dreamer that just won't quit. Movie, based on a true story, a Fox broadcast premiere movie, Sunday.
There's still a lot more to come on the final episode of America's Most Wanted. So please, don't go away. We'll be right back in a moment.
We've known you all our life. You're young. You're wise. You're old. You're young at heart. No wonder your dreams are a bit bigger. Your hopes a bit higher. No wonder we have to reinvent ourselves to keep up with you. Where you live. How stands for the way you live.
I wish I weren't here tonight. I wish there wasn't even a need for a program like America's Most Wanted. But we all know that's not the case. When my son Adam was murdered, I was devastated. And over the years, I've prayed that he didn't die in vain. Thanks to this program, I've been able to help so many victims of crime and their families. But for my family, there's been no justice. So tonight, we're going to make my son Adam's case the last one profiled on America's Most Wanted. Fox reporter John Turchin has the story.
He was their son, their only child.
So long for now, Cooter. We'll see you again.
Saying goodbye, John and Reve Walsh will never be able to erase the memory.
I don't know who would do this to a 6-year-old child. I can't conceive of it.
It was July 27, 1981. Adam vanished from the Sears toy department in the Hollywood Mall in Hollywood, Florida, leaving not even the hint of a trail behind. Hundreds of thousands of flyers were printed. The nation's search. The Walshes took to the airwaves.
He's of a slim build, and we just appreciate anything that anyone could give us any information on him.
In 1981, the thought that it could be anything but a young boy who just wandered away was hard to believe or accept. After all, they were in a crowded shopping center directly across the street from the Hollywood Police Department. But 2 weeks later, the tragic news. Adam Walsh was dead. His severed head found in a canal more than 100 miles away. Someone had kidnapped him, stolen his innocence, robbed him of his future, and put an entire country on notice. Our kids are not safe. 15 years later, case 81-56073 remains unsolved. 10,000 pages of information, papers that would indicate what suspects were investigated and cleared, what leads were followed and abandoned, and who might have killed Adam Walsh. Detectives early on did make an arrest. A dim-witted drifter from Jacksonville, Florida, named Otis Elwood Toole. Toole has confessed twice and twice recanted his confessions.
That Adam Walsh case isn't true.
What isn't true? Tell me what.
I didn't do that case.
But is Toole really the killer? Despite a massive investigation, some say the Hollywood police so badly handled the case and the evidence that to this day, we still can't answer that question.
The city of Hollywood and its police department lacked the experience to conduct an investigation of this magnitude.
Richard Witt took over as Hollywood's chief of police 5 years after Adam's murder.
What they threw at it, instead of experience, was they threw vast amounts of money and manpower at this case, and it didn't work.
Detective Mark Smith, Hollywood's top cold case cop, 2 years ago was assigned by Witt to retrace the trail of Adam's killer.
There's always going to be mistakes in investigation. There's no perfect investigation. Just the way things were done back then were different than they are now. Would I have handled it different? Maybe.
Let's go back to July 27th, 1981. Reve Walsh goes to Sears to buy a lamp. She leaves Adam in the toy department where he and 3 other boys begin playing a video game. Reve does her shopping just 3 aisles away. Minutes later, Reve returns. Adam is nowhere to be found. Where did he go, and why wasn't he where his mother left him? The truth is this. A security guard threw him out of the store. Tonight, in her first interview in 15 years, that security guard comes forward to tell us what happened.
For 15 years of my life, a day has not gone by that I don't think of Adam.
Catherine Schaefer Barrick had been on the job only a short time. She was 17 years old.
I approached him and said, look, you know, this isn't allowed here. Are your parents in the store? And the little black boys told me no. So I pointed to the end of hall and said, you know, you need to leave, exit these doors. Then I asked the two little white boys that I assumed were together, both blonde, and I said, are your parents here? And the older boy told me no. So I assumed they were together, and I sent them both out.
Outside the store that day, a man named Bill Missler was stuck in traffic. While he waited for the car in front of him to move, a white Cadillac coming in the opposite direction suddenly stopped in front of him. The driver got out.
When he gets to the front of his car, finally his head stops, and he locks eyes with me. And at that time, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, you know. I can't take my eyes off him now because this is the weirdest looking guy I'd ever seen.
Missler says he then saw that man lure a boy, whom he later learned was Adam Walsh, into a 1971 white Cadillac in front of the Sears. Now, for the first time, Bill Missler is talking publicly about what he saw, giving us an eyewitness account.
He walked over to the curb, he got down like a catcher would, and he got eye to eye with Adam. And their faces were maybe 2.5 feet apart. And then they got to where the open door was, and Adam just stood there, and Otis took him from behind and just like picked him up where his feet would be on the seat, and then Adam walked across the seat. And I didn't really think anything wrong with that because I did that with my kid dozens of times, you know. He wasn't afraid of him, and I was looking for the fear in his eyes. I was looking for crying, but nothing. He was a perfect gentleman. It was just like he would be walking with Grandpa or something.
But Missler did not go to the police that day because immediately after Adam disappeared, detectives received information Adam had gotten into a blue van with a man in his late 20s. 2 days later, Crime Stoppers put this reenactment on the air. The local media began broadcasting this information along with a police composite of the suspect. The phones at the Hollywood Police Department didn't stop ringing. It appeared as if every blue van within 100 miles was being called in.
Now we have definitely a Ford van, late model 79 to 81.
Hearing the van's description on the radio, William Missler disregards what he saw. But 2 years later, when he saw Otis Toole's picture on the tube, he called the cops.
I jumped up out of bed instantly there, and I ran over to the TV, but before my feet touched the ground, I knew who this guy was. He was, you know...
He was the guy you saw.
He was the guy in the white Cadillac. He wasn't in a blue van.
This is William Missler's account of what he saw. It just added to the pile of evidence police were gathering, some of it contradictory. Missler was later hypnotized and given a polygraph exam, which he passed.
Do you have any reason to believe that he lied to you?
No.
But really, you hit on the wrong crime in the wrong state.
Detectives say Otis Toole first became a suspect in October of 1983 when he began bragging about the murder of Adam Walsh to cellmates. In one of his confessions, Toole told police he placed Adam's remains in the Cadillac, first on the floor in the back, then on the floor in the front. Lab experts tested the Cadillac. They found blood on the front and rear floorboards. They removed 7 squares of carpeting with blood stains. After the test, records show the Florida Department of Law Enforcement sent the caddy and the carpet samples to Jacksonville police. They did so because Toole is from Jacksonville and at the time was in jail on charges of arson and homicide. But what's considered by many to be the most crucial evidence in the Adam Walsh murder, that 71 Cadillac, was sold to a junkyard more than a decade ago. Simply put, police let a 4,200-pound piece of evidence slip through their fingers. How could this happen?
The fact it wasn't here in our police building, in my opinion, doesn't relieve us from the responsibility of that evidence.
Let me make things clear. No, we don't know where it is. We don't know where the carpets are. We don't know where any of that stuff is. We're looking for it.
Joe Matthews was originally brought in to give lie detector tests to nearly a dozen potential suspects. This former homicide detective, who has investigated more than 1,000 cases, says the evidence in this one has been terribly mishandled.
They might have overlooked blood droppings on the seat that was absorbed in the material that they could do an analysis on today. You don't have that seat. They could have gone to the trunk, and in the metal, it could have been absorbed. You don't have that trunk anymore. And then the carpeting that they did take it has been lost.
One item still around, the machete Toole says he used to behead Adam. Toole told detectives he left it at this used car dealership in Jacksonville where he used to work, and that's where it was found. And an FBI laboratory exam later found blood and hair on the blade. However, police records show attempts to do DNA testing in the course of the follow-up investigation have proved futile because the blade wasn't properly handled, stored, or preserved.
In this particular case, a number of errors made. They weren't corrected, they weren't noticed, and that's why the case, I think, wasn't solved.
With all the information Hollywood police have, they contend they still have no direct evidence connecting Adam Walsh to Otis Toole, except Missler's memory and Toole's confessions, which investigators insist are inconsistent. There are investigators who believe Otis Toole is guilty of murdering Adam Walsh, and others who believe he has been involved in so much his story is a compilation of many crimes. All agree, however, that Otis Toole is still the prime suspect.
I think it's safe to say Otis is a strong suspect.
Cases get solved. Sooner or later, they get solved. Prosecution may be an entirely different matter.
Justice is what the Walsh family wants for Adam. If you know anything, no matter how insignificant you think it may be, call 1-800-CRIME-TV. And remember, you can remain anonymous.
My life has changed. I'm now a trauma nurse, which I think stems from remorse or some type of deep-seated guilt inside me, saying that I want to, you know, help preserve life instead of help destroy life, you know.
I made the wrong decision that day, and that's bothered me ever since then, too. I was so sure everything was all right.
Certainly the case of Adam Walsh is not unique. But if ever there was a face that launched 1,000 ships in the battle for children's rights in America, it was the face of 6-year-old Adam Walsh. Sometimes we see that familiar face with a baseball bat and cap or his drawings now on corporate logos. We forget this was a very special boy who, like so many others, was taken from us before he had the chance to live out his dreams. Ever since they lost their son, John and Reve Walsh have been fighting a war, using the only weapon they have, the name, the sweet face, the inspiration, and the brief life of their murdered child to prevent other parents from joining this very select and very devastated group of survivors.
I never fantasize or think about what it would be like if Adam had lived, because that's not fair. I try, for my own mental health, for our mental health of our family, to try to make sure our little kids have a healthy attitude and don't live in Adam's shadow of his murder. And we were lucky. We were lucky to have him for 6.5 years. He was a beautiful little boy.
The way I grew up, I learned the value of a dollar. That's why I go to Meineke for high-quality brakes and professional service at a great price. I guess you could say I'm your average Joe. No, George, I'm your average Joe.
At Meineke, you're not going to pay a lot, but you'll get a lot.
I guarantee it. Yeah.
Since having my baby, there hasn't been a dull moment. Try telling my hair that. Good thing there's a shampoo and conditioner that makes a real difference. Healthy, shinier hair. It's Pantene Pro V, the first root-penetrating pro-vitamin shampoo. Root to tip, it improves the whole length of your hair. It won't happen overnight, but all good things are worth the wait.
Pantene Pro V, for hair so healthy, it shines.
Come on, see what it can do for you.
You know, I knew Advil was good, but this good? I was just in the dentist chair. Big time pain. What does my doctor recommend? Not the prescription pain reliever you'd expect, but Advil. Come on, Doc. Advil works better than a prescription. You know, it did. Advil's that good.
On tough dental pain, 2 Advil work better than any 2 extra-strength Tylenol. Even better than 2 tablets of Tylenol with codeine.
Advil just works better.
Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
I've got exciting medical news. Now Monistat 3 is available without a prescription. So now we can cure a yeast infection with a 3-day treatment and still have the brand we trust. With Monistat 3, it takes half the time to treat a yeast infection. And it's the only 3-day treatment with a separate cream that starts to work immediately to relieve external symptoms. I just feel more confident with a name doctors recommend most. Monistat 3, from the #1 doctor-recommended cure.
Oh, Folks, did you know there's one tool that fixes all your undercar service needs? Yep, introducing the Meineke credit card. There's no annual fee, and you don't need to make a payment for 90 days. When it comes to convenience, this card is the champ. I guarantee it.
Tuesday, in a Fox original movie, Michelle Phillips introducing Wendy Benson and Melrose Place's Grant Show like you've never seen him before in a chilling story of forbidden love, dark fantasies, and dangerous obsession. Pretty Poison, The Passion Kills, Tuesday on Fox.
Now, I'd like to take a personal moment to thank a lot of people who've supported us over the years. The Fox Network, members of the criminal justice community and the law enforcement community, and you, the viewers, especially those tipsters that had the courage to make that call and put a lot of dangerous criminals behind bars where they belong. And certainly we couldn't have done it without our fine staff. Over the years, their hard work, their long hours, their dedication have kept the manhunt going. America's Most Wanted may be ending, but the battle isn't ending. I believe the way we reduce crime in this country is if everybody fights back. So keep that battle going. Hope to see you somewhere along down the line. But for myself and millions of other crime victims, I first want to say thanks for watching, thanks for caring, and thanks for helping us make a difference. We couldn't have done it without you. God bless you.
If you've seen one Raisin Bran, you've seen them all. Total Raisin Bran? Let me guess. Raisins and bran? Sweet, crunchy, good flakes. There's 100% of all these vitamins in total. There's not 100% of anything in Post. Am I the first to notice this?
Total Raisin Bran. The Raisin Bran with a total difference.
There's obviously a difference. I stand corrected.
It's a high-flying, hard-hitting matchup on Fox NFL Sunday when the Niners take on the Panthers. Coverage begins noon Eastern, 9 Pacific.